Hey guys, this is gonna be a short video. I just wanted to announce officially yesterday the sad news that we all in the wrestling world about the final passing of Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. I did a whole video on his life and career. Right before he passed away, like 2 days before he passed away, on his whole career. You can go back and check that on the archive. But I just want to say, you know, condolences to his family, condolences to all his fans, all the NWOites, throughout the NWO, including myself, that were touched by his career. He had a career that goes back to the early 80s in the AWA, the WCW, the NWA, and then again the WCW, and also, of course, the WWF. He changed the trajectory of wrestling. He changed the way that wrestling was produced, wrestling was made. He brought the realism into wrestling when he came onto the scene. It was never the same after that. He came in as Scott Hall in um, May of 1996, and everything changed. From that point on, that forced the WWE to become more realistic, become more attitude era based because of what the NWO was doing. Had he never done that, pro wrestling probably wouldn't even exist today because it was such at a low cartoonish level. If you watched it, in 1994 and in 1995 especially, with the Dean Douglases and the Duke the Dumpster Trozzies and the IRSs and the Doink the Clowns. And no disrespect to those guys. You know, some of them were great talents and everything, but the world was changing in the 90s. And it needed a change and it needed an update. And Scott Hall was that. Scott Hall burst onto the scene with the NWO, and boom, once again, like I said, everything changed. Everything became more realistic. Everything became more gangster, more street, more rebellious, more rock and roll, more grunge, more gritty because of him, because of the NWO, because of how they changed wrestling. They even brought Hulk Hogan. It took, like Hulk Hogan said in his speech that I heard a speech last night. Um, it took Scott Hall to come to WWE to make Hulk Hogan bad. I mean, come to WCW to make Hulk Hogan bad. The the biggest good guy of the 1980s, the the face of 1980s babyface wrestling, turned bad because of Scott Hall, because of what Scott Hall and Kevin Nash did. They changed it all. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin that same year gets edgy, starts to incorporate religion into his gimmick. Then DX comes out, then the Nation of Domination, then all this other stuff. And from the Nation of Domination launches The Rock. But the launching pad, the start of it all, the first Attitude Era, the first salvo in the Monday Night Wars wasn't Lex Luger coming over from the WWF to WCW. It was when Scott Hall came through the audience that night on Memorial Day in '96 because he was willing to take Kevin Nash and Eric Bischoff were willing to take the chances that nobody else in the business was willing to take. They got rid of all the cartoonish bullshit, and 2 years later, in 1998, both companies were selling out gangbusters. Goldberg was performing in front of stadiums, beating Hulk Hogan in 1998, and Stone Cold was doing big numbers, and The Rock was doing big numbers. So the way you see wrestling today, the fact that wrestling could exist today on the level that it exists, going to AT&T Stadium for WrestleMania 38 in a couple weeks, is because of Scott Hall, and it's because of what he did for the wrestling business. He may have never been the the WWE champion or the WCW champion. He may have never been the top dog of the top dog as far as marquee value. But in terms of impact, even though nobody saw it at the time, he changed the course of where wrestling was headed. Like I said, I don't think wrestling would even exist, today were it not for him. So salute to the bad guy. Salute to um, Big Scott, and say goodbye to the bad guy. Rest in peace, Scott Hall. See you down the road, buddy. For life.